was billed as a make-it-or-break-it television interview moment for Joe Biden. After his disastrous debate performance, ABC's George Stephanopoulos did fly out to Wisconsin to sit down with the president, who was speaking to supporters in that swing state. Now, Stephanopoulos grilled him on whether his rough debate night was indicative of mental decline or just a one-off. Let's watch.
Was this a bad episode or the sign of a more serious condition?
It was a bad episode. No indication of any serious condition. I was exhausted. I didn't listen to my instincts in terms of preparing, and I had a bad night.
You know, you say you were exhausted, and I know you've said that before as well, but you came, and you did have a tough month, but you came home from Europe about 11 or 12 days before the debate, spent 6 days in Camp David. Why wasn't that enough rest time, enough recovery time?
Because I was sick. I was feeling terrible. Matter of fact, the docs with me, I asked them, they did a COVID test because they were trying to figure out what was wrong. They did a test to see whether or not I had some infection, a virus. I didn't. They just had a really bad cold.
Stephanopoulos pressed deeper into the issue of President Biden's cognitive abilities.
Are you the same man today that you were when you took office 3.5 years ago?
In terms of successes, yes.
Stephanopoulos then asked Biden if he's ever had a cognitive test or if he would ever have one.
Have you had a full neurological and cognitive evaluation?
I get a full neurological test every day with me. And I've had a full physical. I had, I've been at Walter Reed for my physicals. Yes, the answer is
I know your doctor said he consulted with a neurologist. I guess I'm asking a slightly different question. Have you had the specific cognitive tests, and have you had a neurologist, a specialist, do an examination?
No one said I had to. No one said, they said I'm good.
Would you be willing to undergo an independent medical evaluation that included neurological and cognitive tests and release the results to the American people?
Look, I have a cognitive test every single day. Every day I have that test. Everything I do. Not only am I campaigning, but I'm running the world.
Throughout the interview, Biden was defiant.
I convinced myself of two things. I'm the most qualified person to beat him, and I know how to get things done.
If you can be convinced that you cannot defeat Donald Trump, will you stand down?
It depends if the Lord Almighty comes out and tells me that, I might do that.
At this point, every word that Biden utters or mumbles is being parsed. The original ABC transcript had Biden saying, quote, "goodest job." Pressure from the White House spurred ABC News to, quote, "correct the transcript to good as job." Hear the clip for yourself.
I feel as long as I gave it my all and I did the goodest job as I know I can do. That's what this is about.
Right-wing commentator Megyn Kelly went after Stephanopoulos for his political past in an online video posted the same day of the interview with President Biden.
You created a whole command center designed to smear Bill Clinton's sexual assault and rape accusers so you could elevate him right into the presidency. The attorney representing many of Bill's accusers, and there were many, George, Juanita Broderick, Kathleen Willey, Paula Jones, Jennifer Flowers, to name just a few, said you and James Carville, at Hillary Clinton's direction, formed a so-called war room, whose purpose was, quote, to destroy any woman that would challenge Bill Clinton. Did you defend Paula Jones, saying, "We don't shame accusers, that's wrong"? No. You compared Jones to Tanya Harding as, quoting here from the New York Times, just another woman seeking cash for telling a tabloid tale. Fire up that war room, George, and destroy her. Bill Clinton would ultimately pay Paula Jones almost $1 million to settle her civil suit against him. And you remained Team Clinton all the way. To say nothing of Juanita Broderick's rape allegation or Kathleen Willey's allegations and more. But now you, quote, don't understand how Nancy Mace can support a man found liable for sexual assault of one woman 30 years ago in a civil trial in which the burden of proof is just 51% likely. My God, how did anyone at ABC think this was a good line of inquiry for George Stephanopoulos?
Megan really laying into him there.
She might have a career reading dramatic novels for Audibles, the app. I don't know. I think Stephanopoulos did a fair job pressuring Biden and asking some tough questions. I don't know if he deserved that skewering from Megyn Kelly. I think it was giving a little bit off the note or off the beat for Megyn Kelly there.
Well, look, I think it's helpful to remember George Stephanopoulos' background as a Democratic comms person for Clinton. This is something that should always be kept in mind. But you're right that even if Stephanopoulos was trying to make it a soft interview on behalf of Biden, even if his goal, I'm not saying I'm persuaded it was his goal, but let's say his goal was to help Biden there, to give him a soft interview because Stephanopoulos is very against Republicans and wants to get Biden elected again. Even if that was his goal, it was not accomplished, and it was not accomplished because Joe Biden cannot be helped in such environments. Look, that performance was not as bad as the debate performance, but again, it was a much, much softer environment. And, you still had him seeming, to me at least, somewhat confused. He had very short answers. He seemed to be sticking to very short answers because he knows he gets lost in his train of thought if he goes much beyond that. He was muted in his energy level is so far down. He seemed tired to me while he was doing that. It was not. I don't think nobody watching it was blown out of the water, was reassured, was saying, okay, now we know that the debate was a one-off. This is all fine. Look at that performance. It was maybe like if the debate hadn't happened, you would have still looked at that interview and gone, man, does he still have it all together? Is he capable of doing this? It was not as bad as the debate. Still not good would be my verdict.
Yeah, I think we already know how Biden performs when he's getting tough questions. We saw that in the debates. It was bad. I think everyone was wondering, what's he like on a day-to-day basis? What's he like if you just sit down and talk to him straight? People were calling for town halls, Chris Murphy among them, saying Biden needs to go out and give some longer speeches to prove to the country, if he has the wherewithal to do so, he can. And he's not experiencing cognitive decline to the severe degree we all saw on the debate stage. So I think Stephanopoulos, sitting down with him, everyone was curious about how this would go. Sitting down for a long conversation, he doesn't seem to have the wherewithal to be serving in the White House. He doesn't seem like a candidate that can beat Donald Trump in November. And so I think it was the right thing to do as a journalist to sit down with him, if you have the platform to do this, to get the president, who everyone is wondering about, to just talk for a long period of time in a different setting, to see if what we were getting was really just a bad night, a bad cold, weird stuff going on. But I think it was so awful. I wasn't expecting this to go any better. I wasn't expecting, as they would say, an Adderalled up Biden, someone on performance enhancers for a 60 minutes interview. That's really not what we got. We got probably the Joe Biden that is in meetings every day. And he's not making complete sentences. He's not saying real words. I don't know if he said goodest or a good as job as he could. But the point is, we can't tell the difference. Can foreign leaders, where they're getting translations from people who are, their personnel who come with them, are they able to communicate effectively with Joe Biden, the supposed leader of the free world? Agree to a cognitive test. That's not a test. Anyone in those meetings can come out of it and say whatever they want to their advantage. And I think that's what people are concerned about. That's why people are calling for the independent tests. And so, yeah, people got what they wanted to see from this. And I don't think they're satisfied he's the best candidate.
Yeah, substantively, two big highlights from the interview that you just highlighted. One of them, him not agreeing to take an independent cognitive test, saying that just doing the job of presidency is that test. Of course, we're not able to evaluate that in the same way we would be able to look at the results of an independent cognitive test. I think it's somewhat telling he's absolutely unwilling to do that. That's the first thing. The second thing is the clearest answer he gave, the clearest he was when he said he would not step aside, that it would take an act of God. Only if the Almighty above came down and told Joe Biden that he would not win against Donald Trump would he step aside. That is the only situation in which he would. That is a pretty clear, pretty direct rebuke of everyone in the Democratic Party right now who is coming around to the idea that he should not be the candidate, who's starting to speak up. We're meeting in Washington this week to hash it out to nervous swing state Democrats who are going to be on the ballot with him at the top of the ticket. He's basically saying none of them matter. It's not going to happen. That could change, obviously, but it is a pretty clear indication to me that he's said the same thing now in several different formats, in form of an open letter on Twitter, that he has no intention of stepping aside. We'll see if that continues, but for now it would take an act of God. We'll have more Rising right after this.